I move to strike the last word.
And ladies recognized.
Thank you. I want to bring two things. First, I want to echo my Republican colleagues that we do have serious concerns with crimes, and it's a very serious situation, and what's happening at our border has to be dealt. I hope we can deal with it on a bipartisan basis, because drug trafficking, human trafficking is becoming very significant, and we have a very powerful cartel that's making a lot of money, and it poses a lot of dangers, and I'm not going to cover all of them now. But we also need to think about a few other issues. And I was a state senator and was involved with and the majority of crimes we deal with are really state crimes that states do, and states really need to look seriously on the reforms, and some states to do terrible enforcement, and this needs to happen. But I also deal with a lot of issues where I, as a state senator, had a hard time dealing with the federal government for some people that be able to restore some constitutional rights, to be able to be having second chance in life, and I think it's a big problem. So because federal government is not very responsive anymore to the state government. So I might support it for different reasons than some of my Democrat colleagues, but I think we need to be a society where we have crimes, have a proper punishment, and punishment has to fit the crime, and let some people to be rehabilitated, let people go back into the society, but we do need to have a mechanism for that. So I'm supporting these bills just because there is some way should be facilitation, and states, should be able to help people to deal with some of these federal crimes and records that can really suppress opportunities for people to go back and have a good life and be able, be contributing member of society and be able to have all of the constitutional rights that given Constitution after they did their dues and punished for what they did wrong. So especially for some low-level crimes. But we also cannot be a society where we constantly, allow people to get away with bad behaviors. The mechanism needs to happen. So there are legitimate points from both sides, but I am willing to address this issue, which is an important issue for a lot of people and affect very detrimental some people's lives, because we have, for example, terrible licenses law, different things, and people have bad access to be able to get good jobs. And that is something that we have to do a better job, but I'm willing to find common ground maybe on a narrow basis on these issues, but I also think we as an institution, we as this committee that has jurisdiction over immigration, over criminal justice system, we have a responsibility also to look, how we can do a better job, make sure that our criminal justice system is addressing significant material issues that we have especially in our big urban city, and I represent one of them. Indianapolis has actually higher crimes per capita now than Chicago, which is a very, very serious situation. And we deal with our border security and improve our legal immigration. I think this committee has an enormous amount of opportunity to look at these big issues that are very material for our country and find common ground. So I hope we will be able to do that at some point, maybe not before November, probably not before November, but at some point maybe we can find common ground, because this is the issues that are important for our country. This is issues that are important for our republic and important for the people we represent. So I'm supporting this bill because I know how important to have the second chances. But I think if we don't have proper mechanism and proper enforcement and proper reform and border security, we are going to have a big problem in our country, and we will have criminals controlling our country. And we do not want to have anarchy. We're a country of law and order. And we are not anarchy, and we sometimes moving into direction in some of these areas. So I will support this bill, and I hope we'll have a further collaboration and very important issues that my Republican colleagues brought up in this committee, because they are material, they're serious, and it is not a joke what's happening right now. We have real lives at stakes of a lot of people, as people that in the system, but as people get affected by criminals. And when we're dealing with people's lives, we have to take it seriously, because it's not just a paper, it's not just a bill. This is human lives of a lot of people. So I urge maybe some of my Republican colleagues to consider this, but I also understand why a lot of them will not support it. I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back for purposes. The gentlelady from